Adaram, they say, whenever I leave the house, and on whatever thing my eyes fall on, Sabr. Allah Ta'ala says, Wallahu yuhibbu as-sabirin. Allah Ta'ala aslish majalitina.
School governing body of South Coast Madrasa.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a special program hosted by Cage Prisoners Africa. Cage Prisoners Africa is a South African organization and is linked to Cage UK. If you want to know about the work of Cage UK generally, you can look at the website cageprisoners.com. I am very honored today to be interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif. Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif has written a book called My Life for the Taliban. I'm going to read something about Sheikh Abdul Salam, and I'm going to be interviewing him about his life in a few segments and a few programs. Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif was a senior founding member of the Taliban. Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif was born in Afghanistan. He describes a childhood blighted by the poverty of rural Kandahar. Both of his parents died at an early age, and the Russian invasion of 1979 forced him to flee to Pakistan. He joined the anti-Soviet jihad in 1983, during which time he was associated with many major figures in the resistance, including the current Taliban head, Mullah Muhammad Umar. After the defeat and withdrawal of the Russians, Sheikh Abdul Salam returned to a quiet life in his home village with the aim of becoming a mullah, but chaos soon overwhelmed Afghanistan as factional fighting erupted. Disgusted by the lawlessness that ensued, Sheikh Abdul Salam was one among the former mujahideen who were closely involved in the discussions that led to the emergence of the Taliban in 1994. Sheikh Abdul Salam, in his book, details his Taliban career as a civil servant and as a minister. He was ambassador to Pakistan at the time of the 9/11 attacks, and his account in his book discusses the phony war before the US-led intervention toppled the Taliban regime. In early 2002, Sheikh Abdul Salam was handed over to American forces, notwithstanding his diplomatic status, and spent 4.5 years in the concentration camp called Guantanamo Bay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh Abdul Salam. It is an absolute pleasure to have you in South Africa and to have you in the studios. I want to start off by asking you about your childhood. Where were you born, and what area of Afghanistan were you born? If you can give us some details about that.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I will say the greatness of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To all brother and sister in Islam, and I will say salam to all the humankind. My name is Abdul Salam Zaif. I am naturally born in Afghanistan, in the province of Kandahar, and they call the district of Panjwai. And there is a village by the name of Zangi Abad, I mentioned in the book, and I was born there in 1967. But when I was small, I am not remember my mother because she passed away when I was 6 months old. I'm not remember. After that, I was with my foster mother, and she was my uncle wife, and she was take care about me. And my father, when he passed away, I was that time 7 years old. I remember, but completely I'm not remember. Some time in some think I'm remembering that. My father was an Islamic scholar. His name was Nur Muhammad, Maulavi Nur Muhammad. And he was trying in that time to marry other women. And I remember that he was telling us always to find you a good mother to take care about you. In that time, I had one sister and one brother. The brother was and the sister, they were younger than me. And when my father passed away, and we went to stay with the cousins. And that time I was 7 years old. My sister was almost 8 to 8.5 years old, and my other brother was 10 to 11 years old. And we spent some time with the cousin, and from that time I started going to school. I was studying there, and from the morning I was going to school. In the afternoon I was studying Islamic education until the Russian, before Russian, the communist regime, they had revolution in Afghanistan, and they come to the power. And after that I left the village. I went to the Syria for studying, and from Syria we went to refuge to Afghanistan. And we had a very hard time in that time. No father, no mother. And also we were in the poverty in that time. But Alhamdulillah, Allah guided me to the right way. And my sister and my brother, we didn't go to wrong way. We follow the way of our father. And we went to Islam completely, Alhamdulillah. I was studying Islam until we were coming to Pakistan. This was my childhood life. Yeah.
Tell us, inshallah, something about Afghanistan. We know it is a poor country. Just maybe tell us about what kind of tribes there are. How is the tribal system in Afghanistan, and maybe tell us about some of the natural wealth that Afghanistan actually possesses.
Afghanistan is including 7 big tribes, and I think the Pashtun, this is one tribe in Afghanistan. It's almost the 60 to 70 population like in the Pashtun. And the second, there are Tajiks, and there is Uzbek, there is Turkmen, there is Baloch, and there is a little Kazakh, and Gujar, and Nuristani. That we have in Afghanistan. Wow. But we are calling to all of them Afghan. And our native, the official language is Pashto and Dari in Afghanistan. And we are staying together. Our system of the government is central government. And we have, before we had 28 provinces, now it's 32 provinces. And they have governor in any province, but he is responsible to the central government. Okay. And all the thing is coming to the central government, and all the country is controlled by the central government. Yeah. And this is our government system in Afghanistan. And there is no difference between anyone. And the right of the government, the right of Afghan is equal to all Afghan, and men and women. But sometimes you know that the system is changing, especially with the invasion when the Russian they came, and before that the British twice they came to Afghanistan, but they didn't do anything, but they were defeated in Afghanistan, including the high casualty to British. And after that, when the Russia came, they wanted to change all the system, and they were defeated, alhamdulillah. And the American they came, and they wanted to change all the thing. And I think that they need to be defeated. They are defeated, but they didn't declare that. Afghanistan still it is
mineral wealth.
Yeah. And with the system of Afghanistan for the income, we have a good business. Alhamdulillah, the majority, we have three things in Afghanistan to income from that. One is the agriculture. We have a big agriculture. We have a water. We have land. We have agriculture. We have any kind of fruit and wheat and everything else. And the second way is the business, taxes and the Gumrak and this. We have big income from that in Afghanistan. And the third way for that was like we have a numerous people. We had a good sheep, cow, and horse, and anything. And this was coming to the city, and also we were exploring that to the other countries before. But now it's the situation changed. And this was the natural life of our country. But we have the mine in the industries in Afghanistan. Alhamdulillah, we have just for oil, and we have 454 mines in Afghanistan. This is discovered. And also we have a big amount of gas, natural gas in Afghanistan. It's starting in Helmand. You have 1 trillion cubic gas in the land. We have gold, and 6 mines of gold still in the mountain. And we have the second mine in the world for copper. And we have
the largest mine.
The second large mine. It's almost 40 kilometer cubics. We have a biggest mine for iron in Afghanistan, which is called Ajagak. This is the biggest mine in the world.
In Afghanistan?
In Afghanistan. And also, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of water in Afghanistan. It's going to Iran, it's going to Pakistan, it's going to Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and some other neighbor country. We are rich naturally, but the situation in Afghanistan, always they didn't leave Afghanistan to do something for the people.
I'm talking to Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif. He was a former member of the founder of the Taliban. He was also a Guantanamo Bay detainee. I'm interviewing him about his life, and we're just taking a short break, inshallah.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. This is a special program hosted by Cage Prisoners Africa. I am interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif, a former member of the Taliban. He was also a Guantanamo Bay detainee. Sheikh, before the break, we were talking just about your early childhood. We were also talking about the rich mineral wealth that Afghanistan possesses. Now, obviously, this mineral wealth is unexploited. A lot of it is unexploited. Is that correct? It's not. There's a lot of potential for exploitation.
Yeah. This is just a pure mine. It was 38 well in the Shabargan in Paryab area. This was dead by Russian when they invaded into Afghanistan, but the gas was going to Russia. It was not coming to Afghanistan.
Right.
And this gas was in a pipeline, was every year 2 billion cubic gas was going to Russia. We didn't use it. But after when the Russian they left, the civil war started in Afghanistan, the factories, well, that was destroyed. And that stopped. Just in Shabaran, not in Shabaran, in Sarapul, we're using like 4 wells, but it's not in the way of educated way that's to be just the commander they were using. And they destroy 1 well and still remain 3 while it's controlled. But we have lacked, I think, 38 well for the oil right now, and also around 40 oil well for the gas. We have it's completely stopped. We are not using because it's need factory. It says more investment to take advantage from that. And the rest of 454 mine, this is still not discovered. Discovered, but not
exploited. They haven't exploited it yet.
And the rest of all mines, this is in the land. We don't have it.
Now we also know that it's also Afghanistan is also famous for the growth of poppy seed, where I think the cocaine drug comes from. Is that quite prevalent in?
It's not cocaine. This is we call it's different from cocaine.
Right.
So like this, the Colombia, this was cocaine.
Right.
In Afghanistan, is narcotic. This I don't know the name, but speak in English.
It's a drug. Yeah.
Yes, it's a drug. And I think that Afghanistan, and especially Helmand, in some area, they are doing that, and it's not good for us. In Taliban time, we completely stopped, but by 3 steps. And the first step in 1 year, they declared the statement that 1/3 of the public cultivation will be stopped. And the next year, they said 2/3 of will be stopped. In the 3rd year, they said completely it will stop. And completely it stopped. But unfortunately, the situation changed. And also, with the farmer, nobody from the country helped them. Just Iran sent something to, in Helmand area, they said 40 tractor and some kind of fertilizer, and some they help with the farmer. And the rest of all countries, they are blaming Taliban or Afghanistan for that. They didn't help. Even we sent a delegation to Afghanistan to see how is the public cultivation stopped in Afghanistan. They didn't help the farmer, but they wanted to encourage the farmers to raise against Taliban. And they were using that against Taliban. This was the political problem. But now, after the invasion of America, this increased twice. It's a big one.
So in the Taliban, what period are we talking of? The years that it was completely destroyed?
2000 to 2001. In 2001 was completely stopped.
The entire drug trade under the Taliban government.
Yeah.
And since the U.S. invasion, it's again.
They started now. It's trouble.
It's trouble.
It's trouble.
Okay, we will get a little bit later, inshallah, to the Taliban and your role in the government. Let's just talk before the Russian invasion. Who ruled Afghanistan? And maybe what was the system of government?
The system of the government was like, we had a kingdom system. And Zahir Shah was the king of Afghanistan. But there was a revolution from Sardar Dawood Khan. And Dawood Khan, he took power in 19... I think that the other histories we are using in Afghanistan, it was 1352.
Right.
The Dawood Khan took power, and he exiled Muhammad Zahir Shah. He went to Rome and stayed there. He called a republic government in that time. For 5 years he was there. He was a very good, intelligent person. He had a good planning. He had made a 7 years plan for Afghanistan, and to build the water dam in Afghanistan for electricity, and also to build a road for Afghanistan and to build cities in Afghanistan. He had a very successful plan. Still, this plan is working in Afghanistan.
Wow.
And the people, they were very satisfied with him. And he was, the economy grew off in that time. And till the 1357. And the Russian, they invaded into Afghanistan. There were revolution of communist parties in Afghanistan. They killed Sardar Muhammad Dawood Khan. And after that, they declared the system of communism in Afghanistan.
Wow.
But the people of Afghanistan, they rise against them and started jihad. And the Russian came and it was fighting. Afghanistan was, in that time, the Dawood Khan time, it was the richest country in the area.
Wow.
The richest country. If you go to Kabul, you see the system of building road and agriculture. In that time, the dam, which was built 40 years before, it was not possible now. But it was destroyed. We had the good factories. Even we were making a car in generator in Afghanistan. And we were making anything in Afghanistan, and including the car, the clothes, the tent, the generator, the pipe, anything. In 40 years before, we had the factories, 400 factories for different production.
How long?
Yeah, all was destroyed at that time.
Right. How long was the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan,
And,
more or less?
Yeah, they were in Afghanistan for 10 years.
10 years.
10 years they occupied Afghanistan, and from 78 to 88. In 88 they left Afghanistan back, and they left Afghanistan.
What were the conditions in those periods? I mean, what can you recall?
Yeah, the people, they went from Afghanistan, the refugees, mostly they went to Pakistan and also to Iran and also to Europe and other countries. We had refugees in 3 million, almost 3 million in Iran, and 5 million in Pakistan.
Wow.
Yes. And around, I don't know the amount, how much they were in the other countries, they went there. And the majority of mujahideen was inside Afghanistan. It was the declared jihad against Russia. And the Pakistan, they were supporting that, the Iran was supporting that, the Arab countries, they were supporting that, and also the European countries, including America, they were supporting
the mujahideen of Afghanistan against.
Yeah, and this was a very pure jihad. But the problem, what we had in that time, we wasn't know that was conspiracy from the war community to do jihad against Russia, and after that to invade Afghanistan, or to not succeed in the jihad, the fruit to Afghanistan. They were supporting say one party in Pakistan, say one party in Iran.
Right.
And they were hoping to any party leader that you will be the president of Afghanistan, you will be the next president. When the Russia, they defeated from Afghanistan and the Mujahideen came to Afghanistan, they started fighting each other. And the big problem which they had, some party, they took the remnant of communism, which was two-party, Parcham and Khalq.
Right.
They given asylum 1-to-1, 1-to-1, they kept them, and they started fighting each other by the name of Mujahideen, but really they were not Mujahideen, they were communists.
Right. We just before we go to the next break, I just want to maybe in a minute or so, you mentioned the concept that you were waging a jihad against Soviet Union. Can you just very briefly in a minute or so explain that, and we'll come to that topic again a little later. When you say jihad, maybe some of the viewers will not understand the concept. So just explain that a little bit.
Jihad, you know, that was, our country was occupied by Russia. The Russian wanted to make Afghanistan the 16th Republic of Russia.
Right.
They wanted to finish Afghanistan. And that's what their era, which they did in Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and other countries. And also they wanted to finish Islamic system and the tribe system in Afghanistan. They killed more than 60,000 Islamic ulama and tribe leader.
Sure.
Yeah, they were talking and they were without justice, without court, justice would disappear. 60,000.
This is just the ulama,
60,000.
The scholars.
Islamic ulama and tribe leader. Still they are disappeared.
Yeah.
They killed them all. And they import the system of communism on the people. For example, when you are free to do to the mosque, you will be punished. And the Islamic education, this was completely stopped. And also,
so the jihad was a resistance against communist occupation. It was that was a defense of your lands and
from
your
the land
rule.
And defense for the aqidah, for the belief of Islam. This was because jihad is not something to do something for health or for wealth or for some for power. This is just jihad is, and the Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, this is the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الرجل يقاتل شجاعة ويقاتل حمية ويقاتل رياء فأي ذلك في سبيل الله فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من قاتل لتكون كلمة الله هي العليا فهي في سبيل الله. And someone asked from Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there is someone fighting to be a braver, and someone is fighting for the tribe and for the something for power, and someone is fighting to show that I'm fighting and with braver, like a riya. And which one is fi sabilillah? And the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the person fighting to be the kalimatullah above, and the sharia of Allah will be implemented. This is fi sabilillah. And the mujahideen, they were doing jihad to bring the system of sharia in Islamic law and to bring freedom to the people of Afghanistan and to finish the occupied. I was a mujahid in that time. I was very young. I started jihad against Russia when I was 15 years old.
Sheikh, we're going to go to that topic. We're just going to take a short break, inshallah, and we'll go to the next topic. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif, one of the founder members of the Taliban. Obviously, he's no longer with the Taliban. He was also a Guantanamo Bay prisoner. We're going to take a short break and we'll return, inshallah.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm continuing with the interview with Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif. For those of you who may just have joined, Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif was one of the founder members of the Taliban. He's obviously no longer a member of the Taliban. He resides in Qatar currently. And he was also a Guantanamo Bay detainee. And just before the break, we were talking to Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif about the mujahideen jihad against the Russian occupation of Afghanistan. And Sheikh Abdul Salam asked him about what the concept of jihad was, and he was explaining from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that the purpose of jihad was not to obtain financial or personal gain, but it was really to establish the justice of the Creator's law on the land, and in terms of the Russian occupation, it was to free Afghanistan from the Russian occupation and the communism and the communist system that was imposed on Afghanistan, and to replace it with an Islamic government. Sheikh Abdul Salam, just on that topic, how many, just as far as the religions in Afghanistan is concerned, are the majority of people there Muslim, and are there other religions also?
99% they are Muslim. All. We have some Hindus and in some countries, and like 10 family or to 100 family or in some Syria.
Wow.
But in the majority of Afghanistan, we don't have it. That we have. The rest of all people, they are Muslim.
They're Muslim.
Yeah.
So you said you joined the mujahideen jihad against Russia when you were very young. Can you just maybe explain to us what led you to join, and what was your age when you started joining?
Yeah. And when I was in Pakistan, refugees, and in the first I was studying here in Pakistan. And when I was 15 years old, I went to Kandahar, and I joined with the Mujahideen in the Jabha. And 6 months I was doing jihad. In 6 months I was coming to study and the education. And in the beginning I was just a soldier. And
what was your age at the time?
in that time was 15, 16, 17, like this. And after that, I became a deputy commander for the Jabha. And sometime I was ruling all the Jabha at that time.
It's a unit.
Yeah.
The Jabha is a unit.
Unit, yeah.
Right.
And until the jihad was succeeded, and Jabha was unit was a Taliban unit.
Right.
They were doing the mostly jihad in Kandahar. The Taliban, they were doing jihad in that time against Russia, but there were other Jabhas also, but majority was the Taliban in that area. But when the occupation finished, when the Mujahideen succeeded, all the Taliban, they went back to study. And they didn't come to the power. They left the power to the other people and other Mujahideen. But unfortunately, the Mujahideen, with the capture the power and they starting fighting each other for the power, they didn't bring the system, and they didn't bring the one united government in Afghanistan. And,
I'll deal with the phase after the jihad. I just want to ask you a little bit. You mentioned the word Taliban, and we obviously heard of the Taliban, but we're talking of now the Taliban in the era of the jihad against Russia. Who are the Taliban? What does it mean to be somebody from the Taliban at that stage? What was
the Taliban? They were meaning. This was one. The Jabha was this. The people they were there, like the mostly Taliban. They were treated with the Islamic Hizb, Mawli Muhammad Yunus Khalis, with Harakat Inqilabi Islami, with Harakat Islami of Mawlavi Nasrullah Mansour, Harakat Inqilabi Islami, Mawli Muhammad Yunus Khalis. And some Jabhas, they were with Sayaf, with also with Taliban, mean that they were students.
They were students.
Yeah, they were Islamic scholar and student. They have a separate Jabha because they were not doing jihad only. They were studying also. When they were going to operation, and they were coming back, they were studying, they were listening.
So you were a member of the Taliban.
I was a member of the
you
Taliban.
spent six months in jihad, and you came back and you said you spent 6 months.
6 months I was spending in Jabha, but still we were not involved always with operation.
Right.
But we were studying there also.
Right.
Sometime a teacher, sometime a student. But the 6 other months I was just a student. Yeah, that's what we were doing.
And what can you can share with us some of the incidences in terms of fighting, your actual fighting, and what happened? Can you maybe recall some special incidences, or that you took part in?
Yeah, we did a lot of participation in the fighting with Russia. For example, we were located in Mantika called Sangisar in Pashmul in Nalga. And mostly our jihad was with the Russian. They were coming to Afghanistan. They were bringing the weapons. They were bringing the logistic. They were coming to go to Kandahar. But we were going to the road. We were crossing the road. We were fighting with them. in that time. And sometimes the Russian, including the government, they were coming to the villages and they were searching and they were doing operation. We were existing against them.
We were resisting.
Yeah. And also a lot of time when we were in Panjwai and they were fighting, for example, in other part of the Kandahar or other part of Afghanistan, Helmand, Tarinkot, and they were going 400 tank to some area to surrender and to fight with the mujahideen. We were going there to help with them. We were fighting behind of them and to rescue the mujahideen from them and also to defeat them. And I participated in many operations there. And with including the other mujahideen. But after jihad, I didn't do anything. I went back to madrasa to complete my education until the Taliban was coming.
Now the type of education that you were studying at that time in the jihad era with the Russians, what sort of education?
This was Islamic education, including that I was going to study the private education, like course, and also I got the diploma for the political education, and also for the microeconomy that I studied.
Wow.
And after the completing of the jihad, I went to madrasa, and after that I completed my Islamic education. I did the Starbandi and I finished. And after that...
Does that qualify you to be an alim?
Alim.
An alim.
Mawlavi, yeah.
All right.
And I returned back to my village as an imam. I was teaching the people there till the Taliban came. And when the Taliban came to the power...
Just before we get to the Taliban era, I just want to ask you something just towards the end of the Russian invasion. How do you remember that ending? The Russians leaving Afghanistan. Can you just the last part of the jihad?
Yeah.
Can you just tell us something about that?
In the Russian, like they were doing it like the American right now. In the beginning, they had the bases anywhere in Afghanistan. They started to collect the bases from the village, and after that from the district, they were going to the center. And like Russian, they are doing right now. That's from the center in 88, they signed the contract in Genoa with Pakistan, with American, but they're not including the mujahideen. And they left Afghanistan and they went from Afghanistan. And in my life, which happiness I failed in that time, and I didn't fail. Like when the Kabul declared that the Hazrat Sibghatullah Mujahideen, he became a president of Mujahideen in Afghanistan, and the Mujahideen succeeded, and the Russians, they left Afghanistan. And our Mujahideen that time, all they were crying from the happiness. They were crying from the happiness. It was very big happiness, but unfortunately, that was not happening which we were expecting. And the Mujahideen was not care about who will be coming to the power, but they were care about that to have a freedom and to implement the Islamic system in Afghanistan, the Islamic regulation in Afghanistan.
Just before we go to the next break, we got about a minute left. Who took power? Who was the leader of Afghanistan then after the Russians left?
Yeah, the seven parties. When the Russian left, the Najibullah was remain in the power, but Najibullah resigned from the power, and Peshawar, the Mujahideen collected, they chose the Sibghatullah Mujahideen for 2 months, president for 2 months. And after 2 months, the Burhanuddin was coming for 4 months. And after that, the other system was coming in 6 months to come the legal government. But when the Sibghatullah Mujahideen took a power, it's starting civil war in Kabul. And for 2 months he was the president. After that, the Burhanuddin came to the power. And after 4 months he said, I'm a president, I will be. But he extended that to 4 years until the Taliban were coming.
Sheikh, we just have to go to a break. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif, and we're just going to take a short break, and we'll return to the topic afterwards, inshallah.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a special program hosted by Cage Prisoners Africa. Cage Prisoners Africa is associated and linked to Cage UK. If you want to know more about the work of Cage Prisoners, you can go to their website, cageprisoners.com. I'm Feroz Boda. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif about his life. Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif was one of the founder members of the Taliban. He was also a Guantanamo Bay detainee, and he's in South Africa. And I'm busy interviewing him about his life. Sheikh Abdul Salam, we were talking now at the end of the period of Russian occupation of Afghanistan, and when the mujahideen was successful in expelling the Russians, you indicated to us that Afghanistan then went into a civil war, and there was an interim president, and he's supposed to take over for a short period, but he ended up taking over for 4 years, you said, or 4 or 6 years, I can't recall. So you mentioned to me after the Russians left, the Taliban, those who were doing the jihad with you, you all went back to your madrasas to study, to continue your education. And did you go back then to madrasa? Where exactly did you go? Where did you continue your studies? What was the village or the places?
Yeah, I went to Quetta, Pakistan, and we completed my education. I come back to Kandahar.
Right.
Yeah.
And the civil war, you just talk a bit about that. Who were the different factions at the time, and what was their belief system, and what were they actually doing?
The problem, there was no central government.
Right.
In Kabul. Mm-hmm. Kabul was divided to 3, 4, 5 parts. One part was with Ahmad Shah Massoud, the other part was with Hikmatyar, the other part was with Azara, the other part was Khalidi in Mazari, the other part was with Ustad Sayaf, and they were fighting each other. Mm-hmm. I think by the survey of United Nations, they killed more than 60,000 people in that war. Right. Inside Kabul, just civilians.
Just in Kabul?
In Kabul. The Kabul was destroyed completely. And the same war went to provinces, from provinces to districts, because this was the parties, they have a link in all Afghanistan. Even this entered to the home, any home. One brother was one party, other was the other party, they had each other the difference.
Right.
And the country destabilized completely. There was no control, no government, no justice, no resource to go to complain to who is responsible for that, mm-hmm. to who they will go, who will support someone. This happened. And when the Taliban, they were in madrasa, especially in Kandahar area, that the people, they went to them. You said jihad. Why you did it? For what reason? Look at the situation. This is worse than Russian time. Mm-hmm. Nobody is secure. Property, the dignity of the people, and the security. Nothing has happened. You have to do something. And this was the reason the Taliban, they collecting again in Sangisar area, and they had 2 months. Majlises, what to do. Eventually they said we will have to choose one leader and Amir, mm-hmm. and we will do something to send delegation to these people to stop.
What can you recall? What year was this, more or less?
It was 1994.
1994.
Yeah, that's what.
When South Africa was just coming through its just a democracy. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, when we were collecting, we were not a lot of people. Just around 40 people. And in Sangisar, we declare that we want to rescue the people, and we want these people, they are bothering the people, to stop it.
So the organization that was formed there is that now around, the Taliban that we all now know?
Yeah. They said around 40 people.
40.
But when we started from Singhsar, it's the mujahideen, the people, they support the Taliban. In 3-4 days, it became 1,000. It became 1,000 and 1,000. And
who was the leader elected?
Mullah Muhammad Omar was the leader. But we had no money to do. And just the people they were bringing, we were collecting the bread from the villages, and we were bringing some like Laden in that from the kitchen. We were eating that. There were no expenditure.
Right.
But the commander in the Mujahideen, which they saw the situation, and they wanted to see, because they were imposed to the war, and they were coming, they were surrendering the weapons and giving the vehicles to the Taliban. That's we are with you. And in 1 month, we control all the Kandahar. We disarm all the people which was fighting each other.
So
we built a system in Kandahar, justice system, administration, and some part of the any ministry. That's like. And,
so the purpose of the Taliban gathering at the time in 1994. What was the main reason that they gathered?
Really, that's one thing happened, which we saw in Pashmul. That was a commander by the name of Saleh. He had a checkpoint in the road from Kandahar to Herat. He was doing anything. But when we heard something, he took 2 women from Herat, non-Pashtun women, and they left them and they killed them. And this information came to us. And this was the main reason we said, how situation is that? In Kandahar is a very historical city. And some people they are doing it. This is shame for us, especially for Pashtun, for Mujahideen. We have to do that. So they were doing more than this. They were thieving, they were doing anything. But this was the reason we arise. Really, we didn't arise to control the country, but just to control the area. And when we took Kandahar, we controlled Kandahar. That was the people coming from Qalat, from the other provinces, please come there and help us. The country of Afghanistan is not only Kandahar. And this was the demand of the people to go to Kabul, to the other areas.
So the real tipping point for the establishment of the Taliban,
was this issue.
It was the issue of this commander controlling the roles and acting lawlessly and really kidnapping and killing women.
This was the
real. Okay. So then, after you took over Kandahar, the people asked the Taliban for help, and then slowly the Taliban spread. And how long did it take you then to actually control the Taliban?
After that, this was like a revolution. The nation they joined with the Taliban, it became like a storm. And they were going, nobody was able to stop it. Till they controlled the 95% of Afghanistan, almost the 95%. But that time when they took Kabul, they declared the Islamic government, and they implemented the Islamic law. And the pieces with the word. I think this was a big conspiracy before the jihad, to do jihad against Russia, to defeat it, and also to destroy Mujahideen and system of they were not interested. When the Taliban created the fruit of jihad in Kabul, that was terrible, I think. And that they pieced it with a problem with the United Nations, with the United States, and they starting something. And they supported Ahmad Shah Massoud and some opposition of Taliban, and they were giving money. Even the Russia, and they were in Afghanistan. That the Ahmad Shah Massoud, Rabbani, they were doing jihad against them. When the Taliban come into the power, they sent 4 helicopter airplane, and tanks and other to Mosul to fight with the Taliban. They were sending money and everything to stop the Taliban from.
So let's just look at the role of the United States a little bit, and then we'll look at the role of Russia in this period. In the Russian, in the time when the mujahideen were fighting the Russians, it was obviously with American support because those were the Cold War days.
Yeah.
And you're saying so, but now after the Russians were defeated, Afghanistan turned into a civil war, and then when the Taliban took over and implemented Islamic law, sharia, you had a resistance then from both Russia and America who were trying to support forces to overthrow the Taliban government.
Yeah.
Was this because of the implementation of sharia law?
Yeah.
Now, what were the wishes of the people at the time, of the Afghanistan people?
I think the people, they wanted security and they wanted a responsible government.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted anything to be protect that the people wanted. And for the people, it was not important who is coming. And the system of Islamic system was more acceptable to the people of Afghanistan than anyone else because the Taliban was supported by the people. If you go from Kandahar to Herat, you will see a few Taliban in the way. It's a long way, 1,000 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
There no checkpoint, no people. But all the way was secure.
Mm-hmm.
No thief, no bothering of people, nothing else. This was this mean the people, they were happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is 40 countries. They came to Afghanistan. They have 40,000 soldiers, foreigner, and 300,000 soldiers of Afghanistan. They cannot able to secure 1 kilometer of Afghanistan. That means they don't want it.
Yeah. That the people are not supporting them.
Yeah. If the people, they are blaming Taliban or not, I think if you go to the justice in the situation, this was the system of the people. Because the people, they were happy with that, they were supporting.
I am interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zalif. Sheikh Abdul Salam Zalif, as you heard, was one of the founder members of the Taliban as we know it. It was formed in 1994 to fight the lawlessness in Afghanistan. It was not its purpose to take power, but as the Taliban was successful in fighting the various factions and the gangs, it was found that Taliban got overwhelming support for the people. Eventually they took over Afghanistan and implemented Sharia law. And we at this point of the history of Afghanistan and the life, this very, very inspiring and interesting life of Sheikh Abdul Salam Zalif. Thank you very much for listening to the program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما 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 صلوا عليه صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
Darling, I say, whenever I leave the house, and on whatever thing my eyes fall on,
وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما.
Allah Ta'ala says, Wallahu yuhibbu as-sabirin. Allah Ta'ala is liefde aan diegene.
School governing body of South Coast Madrasa.
تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a special program hosted by Cage Prisoners Africa. If you want to look at the global website of Cage Prisoners, it's cageprisoners.com. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zalif. He was one of the founder members of the Taliban. He was also Guantanamo Bay prisoner. I'm going through his life story, and from that we're getting a bit about the history of Afghanistan, We started with his early life. We then went into the period where he was a mujahid fighting the Russians. We then crossed over to the period of civil war after the Russians left, and we're now dealing with the era where the Taliban was in power. The Taliban was formed in 1994, took control in 1996, and that government lasted from 1996 until 2001 when the US invaded Afghanistan. So I'm busy now just with the era of Taliban rule, and we just heard from Sheikh Abdul Salam that the entire Afghanistan budget was $80 million to do everything. And I was asking Sheikh Abdul Salam about the accusation that the Taliban were not furthering women's education, and he indicated that there was not even enough money to further the education of men, let alone women, because that was the entire budget. And he compared it to the current budget for education, which is over $1 billion. And here we're looking at the entire budget of Afghanistan was 80 million. So Sheikh, the position, I mean, we know that Afghanistan is traditionally, you indicated 90% of the people are Muslim, but as a matter of policy now, you indicated obviously the Taliban government would love to have implemented education systems, but the time wasn't sufficient, the money wasn't sufficient. But as a matter of policy, did the Taliban government have any problem with women being educated? Is that something that is against their values?
No, I don't think. I was one of them.
Yeah.
And now I have private schools for the men and the women, both. And I have private madrasa for the men and the women. And we have university for that. And my daughter, she is studying, going to madrasa and studying. So no problem. We are encouraging the people to learn. Because in Islam, the Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam is encouraging us. And al-ilmu farizatun ala kulli muslimin wa muslimatin. And other hadith, Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Utlub al-ilma walau kana fi as-sin." And go and learn the education if it is in the Sin. Sin was far from Saudi in that time.
China.
And yeah, in China. And that's main, Islam have the Taliban want an Islamic law. In Islam, they have no problem with the women education.
Mm-hmm.
But the situation to prepare for that, and really the Taliban wanted the women to study, but separate from the men.
Mm-hmm.
And the system will be separate, and their dignity will be protected. That they wanted. And there were no any kind of objection on that.
Well, what was when you had this various posts? You said you were initially in the you were dealing with the justice establishment of the court systems. I just give me an idea of some memorable things that were implemented in terms of, because again I think many people will say sharia is harsh in terms of punishment of criminals. So how did you deal with that? Maybe give us some examples of how practically it was implemented.
The sharia is not made by Taliban. This is Allah rules. And the Allah Rasul made this rule. We have a book, Quran, we have the traditional of peace be upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They made a rule for us. We didn't. For example, Allah says if someone killing some other, and they have give authority to their relative to kill this one. This is in Surah Asra. If you go to Surah Asra, you will find in the second page, that's the was written. And ومن قتل مظلوما فقد جعلنا لوليه سلطانا فلا يسرفوا في القتل. This ayah, Quran says, this is not war. And giving chance to power to him to kill him. If he has forgiveness, this is better. And what the Taliban was did, for example.
The Sharia, just to explain people, because some people don't maybe not understand. So the Sharia, in terms of, it comes from the Quran itself. And the Quran lays down the law that if somebody is murdered, the relative of the deceased has the right to take revenge on that person.
Revenge on that.
Or forgive the person.
Forgives. But the government will provide the situation for that. They have a responsibility to do that.
Right.
And also in other words in Quran Kareem, in Surah Al-Baqarah, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِصَاصِ كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِصَاص في القتلى الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد والأنثى بالأنثى.
Just translate for that.
Allah says this is I was sorry that
in the law of equality,
equality, qisas, which is revenge.
The law of equality.
This is the right of Allah. They impose on you to take revenge from the person, the murderer. And if they are giving forgiveness to them, this is better. They can do that, the relative. But what the Taliban were doing it, when someone was murdered, they were bringing to the justice, and they were bringing the witness, for example. There are three kinds of witness for that. One is the person to accept that he did.
Like a confession.
The confession. And after that, they were asking why he did. If the reason was not enough for killing after, the court was deciding he is a criminal. He did something, he will be killed. And the other witnesses, for example, he did something, but he is not accepting that. We have a witness. The other people saw that he did it. And for at least these two witnesses, they need it. And the other thing is that to bring the qarina for that. For example, and after that you can investigate it till
the evidence.
The evidence you find it. When the court decided he is criminal, he did this crime, and after that this one court was deciding, they were sent him to the other court, and the other court again investigating in that, and it is going to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court they are declaring, and that's correct. And after that, they are bringing the murder in front of the other people. They are gathering the people, and they are giving chance to the relative. This is the murder, and the judge is explaining all the thing, how he did, how he confessed that, and who is the witness, and who is the judge, how they decided, and what is in the edict for that. And after that, they are given chance. If they wanted to kill him, they can kill him. But before that, they were explaining how to forgive you. This is reward for you. This is better.
So the judge's role at that time, after the first role, is to get the evidence and to satisfy the judges that this person did commit the murder. Once you find the person guilty, you then facilitate the punishment. And then, but at the point of punishment, your role is to explain what the person did. To explain the rights of the relatives, but also to encourage them to forgive the person. Did that actually happen? Can you recall an incident?
This happened.
Can you recall your incident from your own life?
One person was by the name of Muhammad Nabi. I saw him by myself in the court. He killed 11 people. He killed 11 people from one family. But he went to the home of Sister of Law. He had no problem with it. No problem. Why he did, I don't know. And in the midnight, they were providing good anything for him to host him. And he was eating there. He was living in the room. And the midnight, he was rising, killed first the wife, the sister-in-law wife, and after that the sister, after that the children, and one guest was there with him. He killed also this. 11 person, they were cutting all.
They were cutting the bodies.
After that they were putting in something and putting in somewhere. That he was arrested.
We have 1 minute for the segment to end. So
when we arrested, he come to the court. He confessed that he did that for nothing. They had no problem, but the shaitan they told him to do that. And when they come face this, what the court decided, he will be executed. And the relative from both sides, one was the guest, one was the other relative. 10 was from one family, one was the guest. And the brother and the father, and they came together. And before that, I went. I would ask him if he forgiven him. He did very wrong, but that's the court decided to be punished. But this is better to forgive him. This Allah will give the reward, and this will be benefit for you, and that getting revenge nothing for you. They said, no, we will not forgive him, and we will kill him. And after that, I went to him. That the court decided to kill you, and also the relative, they are not forgiving you. Do prayer, and you are a Muslim. He said, kill me as soon as possible. When I'm looking around me, that's the children I killed. They are here. They are telling me why you did, why you killed me, why you cut me, and I'm very tired. Kill me, please. But the relative, they shoot him, they were killed. That I saw. This was the system they were doing it.
Okay. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif, a former member of the Taliban, one of the founders and also prisoner of Guantanamo Bay, and we're going through his life story. We're taking a break and we'll come back shortly, inshallah.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are returning to our program. It's a special program hosted by Cage Prisoners Africa. It is a associate of Cage UK. The website is cageprisoners.com. I am interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zaif. He was a former founder member of the Taliban, also Guantanamo Bay prisoner. We're interviewing him about his life. He's written a book called My Life for the Taliban. And we went through the various phases of his life from his childhood to the time that he was a mujahideen in the Russian era. After that, his role in the civil war. And after that, when the Taliban took over, Taliban, as we know it, was formed in 1994. Its object was to rid Afghanistan of the lawlessness that was taking place. And eventually it came into power in 1994, between 1994 and 1996 until 2001. We know the US invaded Afghanistan in 2001. I'm still dealing with the pre-invasion era and what the Sheikh did in that era and how the Taliban established sharia law practically and what role he played. And I asked the Sheikh initially about his role in the justice system, and he gave us an example of how sharia was implemented in the criminal system. Now, Sheikh, I want to just take you through certain of your other portfolios. I wish we could talk more about justice. Obviously, it's my interest, but we don't have time. In your role as banking, Minister of Banking, Minister of Transportation, what did you find? Did you find a lot of corruption, or and sort of what did you do? What was your role, and how did you try and solve problems? If I ask you,
the system of all things was destroyed in that time. We were rebuilding now in that time. For example, there were no administration for defense ministry. We rebuilt that. We rebuilt bank system. If you go to the Kandahar, there was 3 banks, and Pashtani Tujarati Bank, Milli Bank, Central Bank, and Tujarati Bank. This was, and but there was just a building, and it was also destroyed. There were no paper, there were no implement, nothing was there, and no money, no accounting, nothing was there. We rebuilt that. It was all. We find something in that time. Some people, they were taking money, but they were not delivering to. But we were not able to collect these things before the Taliban because there were not enough things. And especially the asnad was not enough for us. We rebuilt all the thing, was destroyed. And this was, when the people, they became poor, this corruption is not possible to stop completely. But the role of Taliban was that to punish when someone doing corruption. And I think in Taliban time, the system was going well. The people, they had no problem. But they had a complaint from some sector or from some of the system, but always the Taliban, they were sitting with the people to correct the system to easy way for the people to work.
Just explain in terms of the ulama, what system did you utilize in order to pass Islamic rulings for the people? How did that work practically?
Yeah, the Islamic rule is written in the system in Islam, and we had the I told you before, we collected the system of the Zahir Shah and Amanullah Khan and Dawud Khan. We brought all that to implement in the system. This was the rule. And we had lawyer, and also we had the people to know the law. And they had we had the Ministry of Justice, and that was they had a minister always, all the qawanin, which was the law, this was going to the ministry. And the ministry, they had a commission for that, and they were deciding. And after that, they was coming like we were called a statement, a small book. It was coming, all the thing was written for anything. And this was going to justice, to the court, to the system, to anything. If they had a problem, for example, in the bank system, if they have with the tax, if they have with the security and anything, they will come in to look to the law, what the law says. And the law was, when the law, we were calling the taqneen, the people which they know the law and they are expert in the law. They were making the law and they were sending to the Shura Islamic ulama. And the Islamic ulama, they were conferring with the Islamic law. If there is no problem with, no contradiction with Islam, and they would go through. Yeah, this was.
Okay, now we know. Let's go to the next phase now of Afghanistan's history. We know September 11th took place. Now I want to ask you about this very important era and also some pertinent questions that people may have. And I'll ask you a direct question. Was the Taliban responsible for September the 11th? Did it have any role in the attacks of September 11th, and what is your view about your version?
By my opinion, not the Taliban. I don't think anyone from the Muslims, they are responsible for that. The Taliban, they had, Afghanistan had no telephone in that time. And they have no television. The system, they don't have it. And they have no connection with the world. And the September 11th happened in the United States. It was a very sophisticated plan. And the Taliban, they were not expert like that. You will not find any kind of thing in the world that the Afghan, not the Taliban, only Afghan did outside of Afghanistan. Because they had no ability for that. How they were possible to make this kind of sophisticated program in the United States? No. By my opinion, this was conspiracy. This was conspiracy. They wanted to enter to Arab countries and to Afghanistan and to go there. I don't know who did it, how this happened. And I'm not agree with this. And also, when the September 11 happened, before that, 1 month before, I had a meeting with the U.S. ambassador.
You were now Pakistan ambassador?
Yeah, I was Pakistan ambassador. Yeah. The U.S. ambassador called me, and I have a meeting with you, I want to meet you. I told him I'm not in the embassy, this was out of time, I came to home, but tomorrow we should meet. He said, no, this was very urgent. I will come to you where you are. I told him, come to my home. He came to my home with the political officer. I remember the name of Paula T.D. William, both of them, they come to my home. They said, I was preparing the tea or something, like this is our habit. They said, no, we have a very urgent message. But they were like a scare. Yeah. What is the message? They said, this is the message, we got the information, and the United States will be attacked from Afghanistan.
This was before September 11th?
1 month before.
1 month before.
Yeah.
Right.
I told you I would send a message. But I didn't do the official way, because this was delaying to go to the foreign embassy, foreign ministry.
The official way you had to go to the foreign ministry.
Yeah, this is take time.
Yeah.
But I sent directly to the leadership. Mm-hmm. I got the reply in 5 or 6 hours. And it was a written reply that the leadership after that called me to give this as soon as possible. We are not interested to fight with America. We are a poor country. We are involved with our problem. We don't want more problem. Mm-hmm. If the Americans, they have a problem with anyone, this is their problem, but they will not blame us for that. We are very poor. Mm-hmm. And we never want that to attack America. Mm-hmm. And they will be sure from our side. Mm-hmm. And we're giving this to them. And after 1 month, September 11th said, how is possible? This kind of program in America, they know before 1 month about something happening. Mm-hmm. They have CIA, they have API, they have the military intelligence, and they said we are seeing the small thing, and this big thing will happen in the United without their knowledge. That's an incredible thing, I think. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we wanted a proof. If anyone from Afghanistan is involved with that, we are not fencing. Mm-hmm. We condemned the September 11 officially from our embassy.
The Taliban condemned
that.
September.
And from the embassy and also from the foreign ministry, they condemned officially that issue.
Why? What was the condemnation? What did you feel?
I'm not remember the word of that, but we condemned that. This was a terrorist attack, and on the side we're feeling the pain of the people of the United States, which we are not happy with that, like that. But when they said that was the Taliban, they were involved with that, we asked, please, bring the proof. Who is involved? Yeah. But until today, they have no proof. I think that was just a history or conspiracy. I think this was not involved the Taliban with that.
Sheikh, we're just going to take a break now. I'm at a very interesting point of the life of Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif, and we're dealing with the September 11th attacks. And Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif emphatically said the Taliban had absolutely no role to play, and in fact condemned it officially. We're going to take a break, and then I'm going to ask Sheikh about Osama bin Laden and the history relating to that and his relationship with the Taliban at the time.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're returning to the interview with Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif, a former founder member of the Taliban and also a detainee of Guantanamo Bay. Sheikh Abdul Salam, I want to get straight to it because our time is running out. So let us talk now about Osama bin Laden and his relationship to the Taliban and the demands of the Americans and how that ended.
Osama bin Laden was before Taliban. Before Taliban, he was in Afghanistan during jihad era. He was in Kandahar, not in Kandahar, in Khost area, in Jalalabad. He was doing jihad in this area. And he was not, had not the relationship with Taliban in jihad time. Maybe with some Taliban, but not with the leadership like from Kandahar. He didn't meet Kandahar any time before the Taliban was rising.
He came to Afghanistan to assist in the jihad
in the jihad
against
system, and that was supported by all. He was mujahideen at that time. And Abdullah Izam, he was the leader of that time. And for after that was Osama bin Laden. When the jihad was finished, he went to Sudan. He was in Sudan. And after that, in 1992, he came back to Afghanistan. In 93, like 92, 93, before Taliban, he was invited by the government of Ustaz Rabbani, and they brought from Sudan to Afghanistan. They sent him to Jalalabad or to Khost. He was there. When the Taliban was rise in 1994, in 1995, they came to the Jalalabad and Khost, this area, and he remained there. We heard that Ustaz Rabbani, the government wanted to capture him to send him to America, but he asked asylum from the Taliban. He wanted to stay in Afghanistan, and he had a problem to go outside. And as a mujahid, he wanted to stay in Afghanistan. He was in Afghanistan. The Taliban gave an asylum to him. That was the relationship of the Taliban with him. Right. And after that, it became some kind of part of culture, or culture. When you are given asylum to someone, you cannot able to tell him to go or to surrender to someone. And when the American, they accuse him that he is involved with some activities against America. And before September 11, they had a meeting with the Taliban, and the Taliban really wanted to resolve this problem. And the Taliban had 3 proposals for that, to resolve the problem. And the first proposal was that to bring him to the court of Afghanistan. If the Americans have any evidence against him, they will send him to the court. We have a system, we are the government, we are a country. And we have no contract with American to deliver someone without a reason to American. The Americans said that we're not recognizing Afghanistan, the government of Taliban in Afghanistan. We cannot able to do that. The second proposal was that the Taliban will prevent him from any kind of activities in Afghanistan, political activity. And they would take out the telephone from him and television. They would not do anything, just sitting. Because the Americans, they have no evidence, he will not talk anything. He will stay, he will not do any activities. That we will impose on him. They said, they rejected, no, we want him. He is a criminal. But there are no proof, just they said he is a criminal. And after that, we decided to, this was the third option, and third proposal, to make a special course from 3 Islamic countries. One will be Afghanistan, the second, the 2 other, the American will choose it. And the judge and the lawyer, they will come together and decide it. Without this, it's hard for Afghanistan to surrender to American.
Without evidence?
Yeah, without evidence. This was 3 reasons. One, we are the country, we had no contract with them. Secondly,
no extradition treaty.
Secondly, this was Islamic law, and this was Islamic world. And it's some kind of thing like abusing the law. When you are surrendering someone to other, that means you are not trusting in your law. We were trusting in law, and Islam, in sharia, in the principle of Islam. And the third problem which we had is that mean when we surrender to American, that means the American justice is proper. And we have a problem with the justice. And this was a problem we cannot able to deliver him to American. And also we were working, and this was also rejected by American. And the fourth option we had, but it was not concluded, that was to bring the lawyer and the attorney of non-Muslim and other Muslim, including American, and to make a special court for this case. And we didn't go to that. The September 11 coming, and they invaded to Afghanistan. That Osama's role was in Afghanistan, and they connected with the Taliban.
So basically, you said, if I summarize, that you have given a person asylum, you have a contract with that person.
Yeah.
You can't just hand over a person to another country without any evidence.
We want evidence.
Yes. If you had evidence, you had no problem. If there was evidence that he did something.
No, we were sending to the court.
A court.
No problem. But with the delivering to American, I think this is not a plausible way. This is just force. This is not justice.
Yes. And the other thing you say you were concerned about is that the impression that you would you would give to the world is that Islam had no justice system.
No justice.
And that the American justice system was superior. Now, we know about the American justice system.
Yeah, we saw that.
In your subsequent experience, you were the Taliban minister of Pakistan. Ambassador. I recall very clearly your press interviews at the time. You were in Al Jazeera, you were official spokesperson, and you were giving reports to the media. And then we also know then you were then taken with your diplomatic immunity to Guantanamo Bay. Now tell us briefly about how you got to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
And how long did you spend there?
I was official ambassador to Pakistan since 2000 to 2002. And as an ambassador, you know that Pakistan and Afghanistan, when the Americans they invaded Afghanistan, situation became very hard for the journalists to go there. We was fighting. And mostly journalists, they wanted information of Afghanistan. They were coming to Islamabad. There's thousands they were coming. And they were interested to get an interview with me to learn something from Afghanistan, what is going on. But we did that in one time. We would not interview with anyone else, but we were collecting information from Afghanistan that time before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And 4 o'clock, we were all the journalists, they were coming, we were giving press conference information of Afghanistan, what is going on with casualty and anything like that. And just for 1 hour, or sometimes for half hour, sometimes for 40 minutes, that's what we were giving the conference. And I was there till 2000, January 2. In the January 2, the Pakistan authorities, they came to my home. They said, Your Excellency, Your More Excellency, and we want...
They said, More Excellency.
No More Excellency. Yes. We want you to take you to the Peshawar, and the Americans, they want to interrogate with you. I told them, this is not the law. This is not your right. I'm officially here. I didn't come smuggle or unlegal. I have diplomatic immunity, passport and visa, everything I have it. They said there is no law, no principle. We cannot able to say to American no. I told them, give me a chance. 24 hours, I will leave your country. And if the American capture me, that's their responsibility. But I will go. They said no. They took me from my home to Peshawar. 2 days I was with them. After 2 days, they surrendered me to American in Peshawar airport with the ceremony. The Pakistani general was there, and they had some kind of thing. They delivered me to America. And the American, they took me from there to the worship.
The worship,
yeah. Wow. From there, I was there. I didn't know how long I was there. From there to Bagram.
You in a worship, were you detained?
Detained, yeah. From there to Bagram, from Bagram to Kandahar, from Kandahar to Guantanamo.
How long did you spend in Bagram?
In Bagram, I was there for 1 month. In Kandahar was 2.5 months, like this.
Detention.
In detention, investigation, all. And after that, from there to Guantanamo. In Guantanamo, I was 3 years and 6 months there.
3 years.
Yeah.
Now tell us. Well, what was the purpose of Guantanamo Bay?
I think they built, by my opinion, they built for 3 purposes. And the first purpose, that they were showing to the people which they are not accepting American, that the American, they have very hard and cruel rule. And they will put you in the Guantanamo Bay, which is not justice, no regulation, no human right. And forever you will be there. They were telling us like that. And second purpose was to scare the Islamic countries. They wanted the support of them. They want money from them. They want oil from them. There was something. If you are not supporting me, we will release. This is very dangerous people. They will swallow you. And there was nothing there. Just they make a big thing from terrorists, and still they didn't find anyone among of the people. They were ordinary people there. And the third purpose they wanted the information, only gun information, by any way, the torturing and not sleeping, and not giving food, not giving shelter, any kind of punishment they were given till you have to tell them all the thing, which is illegal, illegal, and which is the education information and your self-life information and what is secret information, like between you and wife and your children. They want anything from you, and that was the only way to take this from this kind of prison. No law, no regulation, no principle, and they will do anything with you to take the information. I think this was 3 reasons.
I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif. We're going for a short break, and then we're coming to the final segment where Sheikh spent time in Guantanamo Bay. We're taking a short break, inshallah.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a special program by Cage Predators Africa. I'm interviewing Sheikh Abdul Salam Zarif, and we're now at the final segment of the interview about Sheikh's life in Guantanamo Bay. Sheikh, you indicated to us before the break the purpose of Guantanamo Bay. I want you to describe to us shortly some of the torture techniques that were used and how the prisoners were treated.
Yeah, and I saw one brother. That's what different kind. They had physical torture and also psychological torture. For example, the physical torture. Some brother they were putting in the ship, and they were covered, and the ship was going in the ocean very fast, for example, and 3-4 days they were walking like that. They were not able to sleep in. If was sleep, was scared.
Sleep deprivation.
Yeah, that was some kind of, and also they had isolation, like they were putting alone the person. They were not giving the shelter, just they were staying there. Sometimes this was, and sometimes they were not giving food, and without food, and this was also the punishment. And sometimes they were shaving, and sometimes the other kind of punishment they were giving physical punishment. And the mostly punishment which we saw it was the Holy Quran. Holy Quran they given to us. One day we were delivering. We 1 month we had hunter strike. We didn't want the Holy Quran because the Holy Quran they make a cause for the punishment of us, and when they wanted to punishment or to do something with them, they were abusing the Holy Quran, and they were understood they are Muslim, they have emotion with the Quran, they will do something problem behalf of Quran. When we were doing something, this was the way to punish me.
They were abusing the Quran.
Yeah, they were abusing the Quran. But when we understood this is the big problem to us, we said we don't want Quran because we are not able to protect them. The punishment for this also. 1 month we had a strike for that. And the 80% of problem we had from the Quran. And they were not taking the Quran, they were giving. When they were abusing, we were doing problem and they were punishing us. This was. And also some kind of, this was the common thing they were doing. With some people, when they wanted information from them, they had a very hard punishment for them. For example, this was the Cuba black. This was one black. They were putting some detainees there. They were closing the water. This was toilet. And if you go to the toilet, they were not giving the toilet paper also. One. And no water there. And they were making you all the clothes, just one shirt they were remaining. And there is nothing else. When you want to eat, you have to eat by this hand. And this hand you have to use for toilet. There is no water, no paper to clean it. It was very hard. It's very harsh. And eventually the brother, they were there, they didn't eat because they need toilet. And most people, 1 month, they didn't eat it. And they didn't drink even. Until they were unconscious after they were taken to the hospital, they were forcing to give something like this.
Did Guantanamo Bay, I wish we had more time, Sheikh, did Guantanamo Bay break your spirit at all?
One time I was thinking there would be justice in the Western country. When I saw the Guantanamo, and when the law, the principle, the human right, regulation, this is not for us, just for them. And just to condemn the Muslim. When the Muslim, the poor people, did do something, they will do that. Why you did it? For example, I will tell you, in Afghanistan, we arrested 6 people in the Islamic Emirate. This were 2 American, 4 other. They break the law of Afghanistan. We put in detention. We sent them to the court. 1 month. The diplomats, they were coming, meeting them. The behavior of Taliban was very correct with them. They have liars, they have nothing. But the UN conclusion, they imposed the sanction of Afghanistan. One part was that's why they kept the detainees for 1 month without justice. But the justice was continuing. They were going to court in the coming. And they put the innocent people in 12 years. Till today they are there. Nobody says. There's no justice, no sanction, no anything. But this was for us. Really, I am disappointed from the justice. I don't want this. All this, when they said human rights, I said this lie. They said the women's rights, I said this lie. They said justice, I said this lie. Completely, I am changed.
You became a hafiz. You memorized the Holy Quran.
Guantanamo Bay, they protect us. Alhamdulillah, they direct us and they guide us to the right way. And also, I memorized the Holy Quran, alhamdulillah, in 8 months.
In Guantanamo?
In Guantanamo Bay. And also the other people, the 100 people, they memorize the Holy Quran or they learn the Quran also. And it was like a madrasa for us. And also spiritually we were made.
Strong.
Yeah, made.
Were there any non-Muslims in Guantanamo Bay, prisoners?
I didn't see, but I see the American. We saw a lot of American soldiers. They were...
the prisoners, were there any non-Muslim prisoners?
I didn't see any.
You didn't see?
Yeah.
And what do you remember the youngest and oldest prisoner?
Yeah, this was one Afghan. The youngest one was 12 years old.
12 years old?
Yeah, from Zarmat and from the Paktika.
Yes.
From Zarmat district. And his name was Naqibullah. And the oldest one was 105 years old.
105 years old. Taken to detention.
He wasn't know anything.
Allah.
He was in detention. He was promoted gun. But 6 months after he was released.
Now, I wish you could speak more, but time is running out. You were eventually released my producer is indicating we can carry on a little bit, so let us talk a bit more about Guantanamo because it's such an important topic, and I don't want to miss it. Tell us something about your personal experience. Now, when you got there in Guantanamo, were you kept in isolation? Were you allowed to communicate with prisoners? What was the conditions?
In 5 months, I was in isolation. 5 months, and after 5 months, I came to the other jail, which was we were able to talk. And 4 months I was in the Camp 4. Camp 4 was 10 people, they were stay together. But I saw there was not one prison. There were Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, Camp 4, Camp 5, Camp 6. This was different behavior in these people. And also we had one other, I not remember the name of, this was very difficult. I was 5 days there. This was like this room. And it was other room inside that room. This was other room. They were there, just watching by camera. You are not hearing anything. And if you wanted something, if you were asking, you would show the hint to the camera. And after 1 hour, the soldier was coming. He was worried, like, what do you want? We were asking, we need that, but they were not talking more. I was just 5 days there. This was other prison. We were hearing there were different prison also. Different, yeah.
You went on hunger strikes often.
Yeah.
Your first hunger strike, what caused it and what were your demands?
The first one was because when we went to Guantanamo, the rule was very hard. And they said it was a cage. In the cage, you were not able to stand up. You would sit down during the day. You were not looking this side and this side. Just stand up. When you are praying, you are not stand up. And you do not do azan. You are not able to speak with anyone. When you are sleeping, you have to sleep like this, not covering the face, not covering the body, but just sleeping like this, not one side, not other side. And that's so, for some time we became worried. This is not the life. We are in the cage in so many feet. And after that we starting shouting, calling, and also the hunger strike. Till I think it was 21 days like this. After that, the situation became very terrible. And the general came, he was good, I think. He was not a bad person. He came and said, this is not my role, I didn't. From Washington, it's coming. Don't blame me. I know the situation. I didn't know who is criminal and who is not. We didn't know you. But what do you want? Why you did that? We said, we want freedom in the cage. We didn't want anything else.
Freedom in the cage.
We want freedom in the cage. We cannot able to escape. This is the fence. This is locked. This is what we were after, I think, behind of 11 doors there. Why you are putting this kind of situation? And after that, they give us freedom inside the cage. We can pray, we can do azan, we can tilawah, we can stand off this in one block, but we will still not able to talk with other block beside of us. This was forbidden.
What is your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
Alhamdulillah.
In that lonely circumstance? Could you maybe tell us
Subhanallah, the time which I tasted in that time, it was very important. I still remember. And the connection was only with Allah, because we had no hope that a relative will help us. We did not hope that the Islamic government were disappointed from them. We were not hope the law will support us. Only Allah will rescue us and support us. And we are here for Allah because we didn't do anything. We didn't kill anyone. We didn't steal anything. We didn't do any crime. Just for Islam, we are here. And this has fisabilillah. We will be.
In the past.
We were convinced. Hardly we were convinced. If we were killed, we were convinced. If we were burned, we were convinced.
You were happy, you didn't mind?
No, it's not mind.
No problem.
No problem. And that was the reason they influenced the American soldier. They became Muslim, lot of, because they were looking. One soldier came to me, they asked me, if I'm in this cage for 10 days, I will be died. Why you are happy? They said, what's happened to me? The food is free. The ibadah is free. The water is free. The clothes is free and free. I'm here. And I didn't do any crime. If I think this is my punishment from this crime, I will be regret. I did something wrong, I will be regret. I didn't do anything. Just I'm Muslim. I defend from Islam. That is my punishment. That's for Allah. And this is easy because we will go for a long trip to the Qabristan, to the Qabr, and go to Akhirah. And Alhamdulillah, this is good. We were happy. anyway.
Sheikh, we've nearly come to an end. Just some conclusion. You were eventually released from Guantanamo Bay, and today you reside in Qatar. What are the conditions of your release? Just briefly.
This was 3 conditions they put me, and I signed. This was 6 conditions, but I rejected 3 and accepted 3. And 3 conditions. That the first was to go to Kabul and to be house arrest for 2 years. And the second one, that I will not do any political activity against the government, against the American. Secondly, I will not joining with the Taliban. And that's I signed the contract with them. I was released. And 2 years I was house arrest in Kabul. And I wanted to stay there, but unfortunately the American 2 times they came to my home. They wanted to enter to my home. And I understood they don't want me here, and one day they will do something wrong. But this was not the issue to kill me, but the children, the women, that's the dignity is very important. And after that I came, I went to UAE for asylum, but it was delayed. I went to Saudi, I went to Qatar. They accepted me, alhamdulillah. Now I am.
And today you're residing in Qatar. Sheikh, I want to thank you very much. I'm sure many people would benefit by your inspiring life. And I'm sure we'll ask you to keep us all in your prayers and to pray for us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you strength and carry on inspiring people and inspiring the ideals of justice and being an ambassador for Islam as you are. I say Jazakallah khair.
Thank you for your invitation and for preparing me a situation to come here and to speak with our brother.
Jazakallah khair. This was a special program by Cage Prisoners Africa. We had the very inspiring life of Sheikh Abdul Salam Zalif. He has published a book called My Life with the Taliban. And we're hoping to get some copies going here in South Africa so that you can read this rich life and this rich experience of this great man. Thank you very much for listening to the program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. 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 صلوا عليه